Welcome to what is your last video for the semester. In this video we're going to be looking at exchange rates and how exchange rates work, why we need exchange rates, and looking at how to interpret exchange rates tables and who would benefit and who would get hurt from changes in the value of the currency. So let's go ahead and get started. Let me get my pen going over here. Uh, so anyway, when we talk about exchange rates, just real quick, we're going to look at the foreign exchange market. All right. And the easiest thing to do here is to think of currency. So a US dollar, or you might have a Japanese yen, or you might have a euro, or you might have a British pound. Uh, any of these. When you think of these, you need to think of them not as things that we use to buy and sell things, but as individual products themselves. Okay? Because the value of a dollar in the internationally speaking is derived the same way we look at any different product. Okay, and so the price of the product is here, the quantity is here, and so here's the demand for dollars, and this would be the supply of dollars. And so and when you get this intersection, that gives you the price of dollars. So let's say, just for example, that you were in Japan, the yen, and you wanted to buy dollars. So you'd say, how many yen does it take to buy a dollar? All right, so 1 US dollar. And so it would be, this would be the quantity of dollars, and so this is all you would do. It would be the supply and demand. So let's say, and this is not anywhere near accurate, but let's just say it was 14 yen to buy a dollar. All right, it's actually like uh, about 100, but anyway, so if it's 14 yen to buy a dollar, that means that if you're wanting to buy something in the U.S. from Japan, you would need to exchange that, and that would be the rate of exchange. So anyway, before I jump ahead of myself, let me go ahead and do some examples here. So let's say that this is you, all right, and you make birdhouses. All right, there's birdhouses, and you make really good ones, and you have a store, all right, and your store is something like Birds R Us. All right, so this can be your store. And so let's put some doors so they can come in. So you sell the birdhouses that you make at Birds R Us, okay, and you charge $30 for the birdhouses. And so when people come in, they give you the money, and you use that $30 to pay for the materials that you use for this, to pay for the rent for the building, and that is the rest is your income. And you use that money when you get it in your pocket, and you go buy things like gas, and you go buy things like groceries and stuff like that. All right. Now, what if over here, so let's say this is the Atlantic Ocean. Atlantic Ocean. All right. Wavy. Get the idea. And so now there's England, and here's Europe. All right. And so let's say that you're living over here in Europe, and you hear about Birds R Us. All right. And you want to buy some of those birdhouses because you've heard that they're really good birdhouses. And so when you go to the owner and you say, you know what, we would like, so let's put somebody over here. They like birds. So they fly over and they talk to this guy and they say, you know what, we'd like to buy some of your birdhouses. And the guy says, okay, that's $30. Well, this guy over here in his wallet, all he has are euros because we use different currencies, euros like that. And so the guy says, well, can't I just give you some euros for your birdhouses? And he says, well, no, that doesn't work because I need to go to the gas station. When I get the money from selling birdhouses, I need to go to the gas station. I need to go get groceries, and I need, might want to go out to the movies. And they don't take euros; they take American dollars. And so I'm going to need you to pay me in American dollars. And so this guy over here says, huh, well, this is a problem because all I've got is euros. All he takes is dollars. And so what can I do? All right. And so this is why we have this foreign exchange market. All right. This is where people can buy and sell specific currencies. All right? And so if you're sitting in one country and you want to buy something from another, you need to go find somebody. Let's say this is our third guy. And so this guy down here, he's like a banker, or not necessarily a banker, but he's got lots of dollars. And so this guy is going to have to go down here and say, look, I need to buy some dollars from you so you can give them back to me, and so then I can buy the birdhouses from birds are us. All right. And so this guy says, sure, that'll be fine. I'll sell them to you. I'll sell you the dollars. It sounds weird, I know, to be talking about buying and selling dollars, but that's how it is. And so this guy's like, okay, well, how many euros does it take for me to get one of your dollars? And this is what they mean by the foreign exchange rate. All right, how much of one currency does it take to get a unit of another currency? All right, and so we would look at some tables. And so today I looked it up. And this guy, he's financially savvy. He knows what's going on. So he knows that today, $1 is worth 0.767 euros. Let me get rid of this. All right. And so, and the way we would graph this out, we'd say, all right, so here's the quantity of dollars. And let me get rid of this. Come back over here. And so this would be how many euros does it take to get $1? And so when we do the supply and demand here, all right, then we would say that this is 0.67, I'm sorry, 0.767. So it takes 0.767 euros to get $1. All right, and so let's say that this guy over here, he just wants to buy one birdhouse, and so he goes to the bank, we'll just say, goes to this guy and says, I need to get $30. Okay, and so the trick is to figure out if $1 is worth 0.767 euros, how many euros does he need to give this guy to get $30? All right, and so the best way that I've found, and there are other ways to do it, some faster, but this works seemingly well, is to try and convert all this, because we want to say $30 equals how many euros, all right? Because that's what this guy's interested in. He needs to know how many euros to give to this guy in order to get $30 in US currency in his pocket, and then he can send that $30 over to the Birds R Us guy. And so the best way to do this, let me clear off a little space here. Excuse me. Erase our little graph there. All right. So the best way to do this that I found is set it up like a ratio. And so we'd say $1 is equal to how many euros, and therefore dollars to euros here. All right. And so we'd say $1, and we know that it was what was it, 767. Okay. So $1 is equal to 0.767 euros, and we know that this product costs $30, and so this is our variable. All right, that's our x. And so now all you do is solve for x. You just remember, just cross multiply this, and so we would say x equals 30 times 0.767. All right, and so in this case, x would equal 23.01 euros. All right. So this guy will go to the person with all the US dollars and say, I'll give you 23.01 euros. In exchange, this guy says, okay, that works for me. So he takes the 23 euros and he gives him $30. This guy gets his $30, sends it over here, and gives it to this guy who makes the birdhouses. That guy can take this $30 now and go buy gas and groceries and everything like that. So when we talk about the foreign exchange market, it is because we need it because we don't want to be paid in another country's currency, because that's not readily accepted in our home country. All right, if we had one global currency, which will never happen, but if we did, then we wouldn't have to have exchange rates, obviously. And so, anyway, so this is generally how it works. All right, and so let's look. Let's take just a second. Well, let me go to this next part. All right, and so we know that the value of the currency changes really on a daily basis. And when we talk about whether currency is getting stronger or weaker, it's always in relation to another currency. And so let's look at a graph. All right, and so let's pretend this is euros per dollar again. All right, so euros per dollar. All right, and we know that this is currency is the price of the currency is determined on the foreign exchange market using supply and demand. All right, and so we know that this is 0.767. All right, so what happens? Why would any of these things change? Why would the supply of dollars change? Well, there would be a couple of reasons, because remember, this could go back or forth. If supply shifted to the right, then the new equilibrium would be there, and it would take fewer euros to buy a dollar. If the supply went left, the new equilibrium would be here, and it would take more euros to buy a dollar, and so that matters. All right, so that when we talk about the supply of dollars, a lot of times that's can be manipulated by the central bank of the country, and there's a lot to that as to countries possibly influencing the value of their currency. We're going to see why they do that in just a second. So anyway, uh, the demand for currency will shift back and forth as well. And so let's say that everybody decides they want to come to the U.S. for a vacation. Okay, everybody around the world wants to come to the U.S. If you're sitting in China and you have yuan, that's the currency in China, and you have yuan and you want to come to the United States, then you have to take your yuan and exchange for US dollars. And so if a lot of people in China said, let's go to the US, the demand for the currency in the US would shift to the right. All right. So we'd have an increase in demand. I probably shouldn't have made this Europe or China because we're using Europe over here. So let's scratch that. Let's say everybody in Germany wants to come over here for a vacation. So the demand for the US dollar would rise, and so it would take more euros, let's say zero point 0.9 euros, to get a US dollar. All right, and so what impact does that have? And so let me back up. There are a couple other reasons. So could be tourism, could change demand, could be trade. All right, could be business investments. All right. Any of these things, if more tourism comes to the U.S., more trade, more people want to buy our products, that would cause the demand for our dollar to rise. If businesses wanted to invest in the United States, if people wanted to buy U.S. Treasury bonds or corporate bonds or U.S. stocks, any of that stuff, all these things would have to be done with dollars, and so the demand for the dollar would go up. So what does all this mean? When the demand for the currency rises, we say, and the price of the currency rises, we would say that this is becoming a strong dollar. All right, and the other words you would see for that would be an appreciated dollar. All right, so this is just saying that beforehand you could take 0.767 euros and get $1. Now it takes more euros. All right, so it's more expensive for Europeans to buy a U.S. dollar. And so let me give you a quick example, then we'll come back to our birdhouse analogy. I looked up BMW 3 Series Coupe. BMW Series 3 Coupe. All right, and it said that it was, in France, it was 36,700 euros. All right, and so the question is, how many, how much, how many dollars would this cost? Would this BMW cost? All right, so originally, when we were at 0.767, so we knew that $1 was equal to 0.767 euros. All right, and we know that the price of this car is 36,700 euros. And so how many dollars at the original exchange rate will this cost? And so when you do this cross multiplication, you get 0.767x equals 36,700. Divide through by 0.767, and you come up with 47,000. I'm sorry. Yes, $47,848. Okay, and so if you're sitting in the U.S. and you wanted to buy BMWs from over in well, France or Germany, you were shipping a BMW into the United States, and you had to pay euros for it, you would have to pay $47,848 for it. All right, so what happens if the demand for the dollar goes up, and so now the new exchange rate is 0.9. All right, so let's get rid of some of this. All right, so now $1 is equal to 0.9 euros, and we're still trying to find how many dollars it takes to buy something for 36,700 euros. And so we do this cross multiplication again. Let's just do it over here. So 0.9x equals 36,700, and so therefore x is equal to 40,777. So let me write this over here. So the new price, x equals $40,777. So what happened with all of this? So we had a strong dollar. For some reason, the demand for the dollar went up, causing the price that other countries pay for our currency, that price to rise. All right, and so beforehand, the price of that car was $47,848, and so that's what you would have to go to the foreign exchange market to get in order to buy this BMW for 36,700 euros. Now, when the dollar value changed and the cost of the dollar went up, and you do the math now, you can see that now the same BMW costs $40,777. What happened to this price? Did it change at all? And the answer is no. They're still going to get their 36,700 euros. Now it just takes a lot less of your money in order to buy it. All right, and so we call this a strong dollar or an appreciated dollar. And so to bring this story kind of to its conclusion, we want to look at who wins and who loses, because as with everything in economics, there will be winners, people that are happy, and people that are sad because of a strong dollar. And so who are the happy people here? Well, if you were in the market for a BMW Series 3 Coupe, you are extremely happy. So we'd say the U.S. consumer would be very happy. All right. What about if you're BMW? All right, are you happy that this happened in the financial markets? And so now you can sell your car. Your car's just got a lot less. All right, and so BMW, or we'll just say foreign producers, are very happy because now their products become cheaper for people in the U.S. to buy. All right, if you had any BMW dealers here, they would be extremely happy because now, remember, BMW's in competition. Think of some U.S. Car makers, Cadillac. You know, if somebody's debating between a BMW and a Cadillac, now they're more likely to get this by the BMW because it just got a lot cheaper. All right. So who's sad about a strong dollar? All right. And hopefully you can look at it and say that the U.S. producers would be very sad about this. All right, because now all the foreign products are becoming much cheaper, and so the U.S. products become less competitive. And so when we get a strong dollar, the net effect, and let's see, I'll just write it right here. Let me change colors just so we can kind of keep distinguishing. Net effect of a strong dollar. So we know that imports become cheaper, and so we know that imports are going to rise because it's cheaper. Conversely, it's more expensive for them to buy our stuff. If our dollar's getting stronger against theirs, that by definition means that their currency is getting weaker against ours, doesn't buy as much, and so we would expect our exports to fall, which would cause net exports to go down. And so if imports became greater than exports, we'd have a trade deficit. But if net exports go down, then there would be a decrease in aggregate demand, which could lead to a decrease in GDP. All right. So again, winners and losers here. If we have a strong dollar, then the U.S. consumer is happy, the foreign producers are happy, but domestic manufacturing is not. All right. And so that's that part. So let's look at what happens when we have we'll come back to that, a weak dollar, or depreciated. So you'll see either of those terms, depreciated or weak. All right. And so let's draw our graph again. We'll use dollars and euros per dollar and supply and demand. And we said that the price was 0.767, and we're still going to stick with our Series 3 coupe. Pretty car, BMW. All right. And so remember our original price. So if we wanted to buy this for cash, remember it was 36,700 euros. All right, and when we did the exchange rate at 0.767 euros per dollar, that came out to, what was it? 47,848. All right, so let's say that something now happens and the dollar becomes weaker. So how could that happen? That could either happen when there's a decrease in the demand for the dollar, or when there's an increase in the supply for the dollar, because either way that equilibrium price is going to come down. All right. Now we talked a little bit earlier about manipulating currency, and over the last several years, the U.S. coming out of the Great Recession, the Federal Reserve has significantly changed the supply of dollars out there on the market. Okay, just sheer number of dollars has grown a lot, and so what we can do is say, all right, the supply of currency has shifted. All right, the Federal Reserve, through expansionary monetary policy, has flooded the market with dollars, and so those dollars have found their way. Some of those dollars have found their way on the foreign exchange market, and so now we have a new equilibrium price and quantity for the U.S. dollars. And so instead of 0.767, let's change it to like 0.5. So now it takes half a euro to get a dollar. And by the way, these fluctuations are extreme in the foreign exchange market world. All right, they measure these out typically to 5 digits, so 0.76732, and you'll generally see, very slight fluctuations on a daily basis. Nothing like this. This would be a huge deal. So, but anyway, keep it simple, right? So if we're at half a euro per dollar, so now we want to say at $47,848, all right, if we get this new conversion, how much will this thing cost now? And so remember, it was 36,700 euros. So we're going to say, you know what, $1 is now equal to 0.5 euros. All right. We're still trying to figure out for 36,700 euros how many dollars it takes to buy that. And so now we have this new exchange rate, and so we do our math again, the cross multiply, 0.5x equals 36,700. And so the final answer there, x is equal to $73,400. So we got this BMW Series 3 Coupe, and originally we were able to pay $47,000 for it. After this change in the exchange rate, now we got to pay $73,400 for it. All right, and so intuitively you're going to look at this and say, well, this is bad. All right, but again, remember, there's always winners and there's always losers when we talk about this stuff. And so with a weak dollar, all right, we're going to have people that are happy and people that are sad. And so people that are sad, obviously the U.S. consumers, because now the price of the products that we import is going to be higher. All right, we don't like it when things get more expensive. Who else is going to be sad, do you think? You think BMW might not be happy about this? There's a lot of BMWs driving around the U.S., and so any foreign producer, so foreign producers are not going to be happy either, because now their products are more expensive. All right, and so you got two losers here basically, but who is the winner? And so remember, when we were debating, if you're in this market to buy a BMW and it goes from 47,000 to 73,000, you may, and all the foreign cars do that. We'll just pretend the dollar gets weak against all currencies. If this all happens, Cadillac is sitting pretty, because they're looking at it saying, you know what, if our car, let's say a Cadillac was 50 grand, and you were kind of debating between buying the BMW or the Cadillac, originally you're going to buy the BMW because it's cheaper. All right, if price is your only consideration. But if the price goes up to $73,400, now you're going to probably buy this Cadillac. And so here we'd say that U.S. producers would be extremely happy with a weak dollar. All right, and so it's an unfortunate name that they give it by a weak, to use the word weak, because that just kind of implies bad. All right, that's how that's the connotation that we get from that. But it's really not necessarily a bad thing, because if the U.S. producers are happy because now the foreign stuff gets a lot more expensive, that by default means that the U.S. stuff becomes more cheap. All right, and so if it only takes half a euro to get a dollar, do you think people in Europe are going to buy more stuff? Okay, remember, it takes fewer euros to get a dollar, and so yeah, they're going to be like, let's go buy a bunch of American products. And so typically we would see exports rise, and we know that because of what happens to the cost of stuff, imports are going to fall. And so what's that going to do to net exports? It's going to cause net exports to rise, which causes aggregate demand to rise, which leads to GDP rising. All right? And so a lot of times, countries like having a weak dollar. In the last few years, there have been a lot of countries that have kind of been trying to have a weak dollar. All right? It's kind of a race to the bottom between countries, and they're doing that because they want to increase uh, their manufacturing. All right? They want people to buy homemade products and ship them out because that's good for their economy and good for their jobs and all that. And so they want to keep it weak. All right? Let's see. We got one more thing. All right, so again, make sure you're familiar with who wins and who loses when we have a strong dollar or a weak dollar. And remember, the dollar price is determined by the supply and demand, and supply can shift right or left, demand can shift right or left, and that will have an influence on the price. And also, when we look at foreign exchange markets, and if somebody says the value of the dollar is weak, they're saying it's weak against one specific currency. All right, because when you do dollar, we might be weak against the euro, but it might be strong against the yen. You know, I mean, it could be either way. All right, so just saying we have a weak dollar is technically not correct. It might be generally weaker compared to currencies, but anyway. All right, last thing. This won't take very long. Famous last words, right? So the other thing that you're going to have to do is be able to read a foreign exchange table, and that's what this looks like. And all this is saying is that, so over here, 1 US dollar will buy you how much of each of these currencies. And so it would buy you 0.77 euros, or it would buy you 0.624 pounds, or 82 yen, or 0.992 Canadian dollars, or 0.956 Australian dollars. All right, this would read that 1 Japanese yen will buy you $0.012. That's a penny basically. 0.009 euros, and so on and so forth. So take a look at the British pound. All right, how many yen can you get for a pound? All right, so you'd come over here and say, well, 1 British pound will get me 131.547 yen. All right, so again, a yen, you might look at that and say, wow, 131 yen for a pound, that's awesome. Think of a yen like a penny. All right, it takes 100 pennies to make a dollar, you know, so they're using, pretend that Japan is using pennies instead of using dollars. All right, and so then the prices become much more relatable. All right, so let's take a look. And what if, so using this chart, what if something costs $55? And I promise we are almost done. How many yen would it take to buy something that's 55 bucks? All right, and so if try and do this math, pause it here, and try and do the math and see what you get, because this might be something that you have to do. All right, so hopefully you did pause it. And so remember, we're just going to set it up like a ratio. So 1 US dollar is equal to 1 US dollar is equal to how many yen? 82.099. All right, is equal to, we know that this is $55, and so how many yen will this take? All right, so let's set it up different earlier. So in order to do this, remember you cross multiply, so that'd be x equals 82 0.099 times 55. So it's 82.099 times 55. And so this would cost 4,515.45 yen. All right, so whatever this was, this $55 thing, they would have to give you $4,515. I'm sorry, 4,515 yen. Let's go back to the birdhouses. You're selling your birdhouses for $30. How many British pounds would be needed to buy your birdhouse at $30? And so that's kind of the symbol for the British pound, close at least. So how many British dollars? Pause it again, see if you can figure this out. So we know that 1 US dollar is worth 0.624 British pounds. All right. And so your birdhouse, which was $30, cost how many pounds? And so again, we can cross multiply. That'd be x equals 30 times 0.624. And so you would need times 0.624, 18.72 pounds to get this birdhouse. All right, let's just try one more, and then we'll be done. Let's say something cost, you were going to another country, you're going to Canada, all right, and something cost, I don't know, 86 Canadian dollars. All right, how many US dollars would it take to buy this thing for 86 Canadian dollars? So let me clear some of this off real quick. Give myself a little room. Go ahead and be working on it. All right, so we know that 1 US dollar is equal to how many Canadian dollars? So come up here, 1 US dollar is equal to 0.992 Canadian dollars. And if something costs 86 Canadian dollars, how many US dollars would you need to buy it? And so again, let's do the cross multiplying. 0.992x equals 86. And so x equals, just a second, 86 divided by 0.992 equals $86.69. So if you were going to, that's not much of a difference, obviously. So if you were going to Canada, if you wanted to buy something for $86, 86 Canadian dollars, you need to bring 86.69 US dollars. So anyway, be able to make those calculations if you can. All right. So let's go back, and this is it. I just want to review this. So when we look at all this, define exchange rate as the price of one nation's currency in terms of another. All right, and that's what we did here. Locate information on exchange rates, and that would be on the table. Then we need to interpret the exchange rate tables, and then explain why some groups benefit and others lose. And this is the happy faces and the sad faces. All right, and remember, you need to know the difference between strong and weak, and that a weak is not necessarily bad. And then who wins here, and who wins here, winners and losers for both. So anyway, that's it. Congratulations, no more PDP econ videos for the year. Have a good one.